Welcome. I hope you're doing okay, and hopefully your day is going well. I am recording this just because I find sometimes students find it kind of helpful if I make a video sort of talking about the assignment and what I'm looking for. So this assignment's going to be related to some of the readings in this week too, under social determinants. And this is some of the content that I've sort of been asked to or been working with someone on adding into the course. And it's looking at some of the more social and cultural aspects of development and how it relates. So I want to point out something though. If you look at this under week two, you'll see like what's required. And I just have like the lecture, and this is kind of a not a lecture, more just a presentation of what the assignment is. So the YouTube this week is going to be a lot less. Although um I'm also going to be messaging you about all the week one YouTube that's now up. But anyways, I want to make this point that see where it's like Marx et al. 2017 introduction, and then the one beneath it says Lopez 2017, the health inequities, and then number four says Siddell and all 2017. That's all from the same book. So it's all from that. Those are all, it's the introduction chapter and then chapter one and then chapter five from the same book. It's a textbook. That's online. But what I've done is it's through your library. So I have it downloaded as a PDF and it's in your week two content. Okay. So if you download it, it looks like this. So now I should be, yeah, screen sharing. Hopefully this PDF document. So I just have it pre-set up so it's on the table of contents. So obviously, like if I scrolled up a bit, you'd see like the title page and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to show you that basically what I'm going to be asking you to do for this assignment is to read the first, just the introduction, right? The first 8 pages. So the introduction there, social and structural determinants of health. And then I'm going to also ask you to pick either this first chapter, Health Inequities, Social Determinants and Intersectionality, or this philosophical perspectives on social justice, this framework for discussing children, youth, families, health policy, and research agenda, and read. So basically, I want everyone to read the first chapter that's um, just the introductions, the structural and social and structural determinants of health and health equity, just because it kind of introduces this concept of social determinants, right? Which is basically just relating to what I've been talking about in the first presentation. This is related to the nature nurture conversation, and this is all on the nurture side, right? That like part of development is what the nature you bring to development. So the genetics and all that, and the inherit the things like intelligence and things like your physical organism, right? So that was a wordy way of saying basically there's you and then there's your situation, and your situation matters. And there's things in your situation that they're using the word social determinants, right? So things in your social world that actually have a determining impact on you. So things that affect you basically. Okay, so the introduction chapter sort of just presents this concept, way of thinking or philosophy, I guess. And then I'm asking you to either read chapter one or chapter five. So again, if you look at the course syllabus, it looks like it's like three separate readings that you have to go find the articles. And I wanted to just really highlight this point that under week two in our class, you'll see that I have the PDF for you of this book. Okay, because I'm able to do that because the library already has the license to it, right? And I also just did it like that because I thought that'd be the quickest, easiest way for you to access it. Okay, so now, having said that, um, so now that you kind of got the idea of the resource, All I'm asking you to do is basically a reflection on it. And if you noticed, it was supposed to be due like next Friday, the 22nd, but I'm gonna give you an extra week just because I don't know, just because I've been a little bit shaky in the start of this, right? Like be with the textbook thing and then like just being a little bit behind getting content out because of the changes with the syllabus and all this stuff that I'm going to stop talking about now and just focus on content moving forward. But like to kind of recognize that, I'm just giving you an extra week, and I just hope that like minor change uh makes things a tiny bit easier. Okay, so it's due now on September 29th, and I basically say at midnight. It's a Friday. If you get it into me before I wake up Saturday, we'll say it's all good. I'm not like super crazy and intense on that. Um, so I just say the reference needed is this book, Perspectives on Health Equity and Social Determinants of Health. It's a textbook. I'm considering this like the second main resource in this class. You don't have to buy it. I say that very clearly. Please don't. Well, I don't mean please don't buy it. I'm not like begging you not to buy it. If you really want to buy it, you can. But please feel no obligation to. I'm giving you full access to it as a digital resource. Um, Okay, so the assignment instructions, read the introduction chapter like I was mentioning, and then pick either chapter 1 on health equity, social determinants, intersectionality, or chapter 5, the philosophical perspectives. Okay, then I want you to please answer these questions below. And the questions are relatively basic. This is just a reflection exercise. I want you to think, okay, what were some of the key takeaways from the chapter? This is like a question that ever since you were answering questions in written format, you've been asked this question, and it's a core question, right? It's like basically, what did you learn from reading that? And I say there, like an interesting way to approach this is pretend you're explaining it to someone that's like smart and interested in the topic, but just hasn't read that specific chapter. Like, what were some key takeaways you had? Second part, what are your thoughts on that? Like, are those ideas things that you agree with? Do you think it's a bit off? Do you disagree with things? So I'm kind of asking like, okay, what did you think some of the key points were in question 1? Question 2, what are your thoughts on it? And then question 3, what do you think is an idea from the chapter that you read that you think is most relevant for a class like ours, like a class like developmental that's focused on sort of applied developmental psychology? Take one of the ideas from the textbook and sort of talk about how it's relevant or not, right? You don't have to necessarily agree with any of the points in any of the articles that you ever get from any of my classes. I want you to be a free thinker, but um, so the idea is you don't have to necessarily agree with everything, but I want you to read it and then comment on it. Yeah, what's the idea that you feel is most relevant from a developmental psychology perspective? So sort of like what idea from it is most relevant in terms of like how a kid grows up and raises and ages, right? So the developmental psychology perspective. And then lastly, formatting wise, I'm not looking at this to be huge, right? Like maybe like I'm saying 4 pages double space, so like pretty minor in terms of length as a minimum, right? You can go much as long as you want. Also, I want to make it open. In the past, I've always made it open for students to submit responses as like a podcast kind of style response, like an audio response, or if you want to make like some kind of video recording yourself responding to it, that's super cool too. I love when students do that because it gives me like I also just get to know you a little bit differently. It's um yeah, students making videos is cool too. So I just ask that if you make a video, try to aim at having it pretty concise and around 5 minutes. If you're doing it written, I'd say like 4 pages, maybe 6 pages tops. But if you're on a roll, like I'm not as worried as upper limit, but I wanted a lower limit at about 4 pages. All right, I'm going to mark this based on kind of how clearly you reflect on the essay, the depth of it, and then just sort of overall writing quality. I'm planning on and hoping this is coming across as fairly straightforward. right? You read the first chapter, everyone reads the first chapter to sort of set the tone. Then you pick the chapter you find more interesting, and then you just answer like what you think the key points were, what the thoughts are. And then, you're university students, you can I want you to not just tell me what the chapter's about, right? When I'm saying what are the key points, I'm not just saying like tell me what it's about. I'm saying like you read it. If you had to now say what's the core essence or the core point of it. So I'm asking you to kind of, separate the wheat from the chaff, they'd say, or like, the part of the plant that you eat from just the rest of the corn plant. It's like that's I'm getting sloppy with my metaphor, but basically just this idea of tell me the important thing. And then what do you think about it? And then pick a part of it that you think is most relevant for developmental psych. All right. I hope this is decent. I think we're now basically caught up. So I'm going to have all this out by tomorrow. I'm going to have this assignment update. All the links I'm going to get all the links up right now for week 2, and then um, doubling back for week 1. Everything's going to be set up now. So if you're seeing this Friday morning, we're basically on pace. And so your only thing to be kind of thinking about from an assignment perspective is this. Next week, I'll have the biological beginnings presentation coming out on Friday. All right, take care. Hope you have an awesome week. And I'm really happy that things are kind of up and rocking now. And if you need anything, please reach out to me, and um, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to interacting more with you and stuff. And have a great week. Cheers.